camera technology evolves at lightning speed, but some gems stand the test of time. Today we are revisiting the Fujifilm X-T3 and answer the question, is Fujifilm X-T3 worth it in 2024? Fujifilm X-T3 released back in September 2018 and quickly became a favorite for both photographers and videographers. X-T3 hit many revolutionary specs in both photography and videography, making it one of the best hybrid cameras back then. And even today, X-T3 has competing specs like 4K recording at 60 FPS, 10-bit recording, high-quality bitrate up to 400 megabits per second, 30 frames per second shooting while having its rather compact and ergonomic body to shoot with. It has this 3-axis tilting touchscreen and is generally useful when you are doing photography in off angles like you generally do in street photography. And it has also user-friendly features like double SD card slot, dedicated headphone jack, and Type-C port for charging in case you left your charger on somewhere else, and also you can use that Type-C port to transfer files to your PC if you don't have the SD card adapter with you. In the current state of the market, in the same category of cameras, Fujifilm released Fujifilm X-T5 in November 2022. 4 years after releasing the Fujifilm X-T3, camera market certainly evolved after the releasing of the Fujifilm X-T3, and Fujifilm X-T5 shows this with its specs. We will discuss the specs more later in this video, but I want to first go into a bit more deeper into the price points and how the current state of the market is. Nowadays, you can buy a Fujifilm X-T3 brand new for $1,000, whereas the Fujifilm X-T5 is still $1,700, which is a bit expensive than the Fujifilm X-T3. And also keep in mind that Fujifilm X-T3 is 6 years old. The second-hand market of these cameras are flooded with them, and you can certainly find the deal online or in your local camera stores for a cheaper price for a Fujifilm X-T3 if you are okay to buy a second-hand camera. To make this review, I borrowed my dad's Fujifilm X-T3 and he got his camera for $1,000, including the XF 16-55mm kit lens, and it was a total deal with the camera plus the lens, and the lens is not like Canon's kit lenses on cheap cameras. It's a really decent lens that you can daily drive even in photography and video. Paying $1,000 for camera and that lens is really a good deal, and you should certainly, if you're okay with buying a second hand, you should certainly be looking into that. Quick intervention to the video: sick Fujifilm and general camera content will come on this channel soon, so subscribe to do not miss on those. I aim to reach 1,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2024, so your support will help me to grow my channel, and also more importantly will help me to make better video for you guys. So thank you in advance, and let's go back into the video. For the technical side, to be honest with you, Fujifilm X-T3 specs are still decent to this day. But if you pay $700 extra, you will get basically 2 additional features that are not available in X-T3. The first one is the sensor. Both cameras have the APS-C sensors, but X-T3 has a 26 megapixel sensor, whereas the X-T5 has this upgraded APS-C sensor that is 40 megapixel. Having more megapixel is great when you crop your images or when you print them. It's a great feature. But on the other side, the sensor size stayed the same. Both are APS-C size sensors, so they had to make this pixels as less light so that the camera can produce 40 megapixels. The second thing is, when you get buying the Fujifilm X-T5, is the IBIS, in-body image stabilization. It's basically a gimbal for your sensor, and it's released in the Fujifilm X-T4 the first time, and it's continued to be included in the X-T5. What it does is it compensates for the hard movements or shakiness otherwise would appear distracting in the video. Using this IBIS, it's actually a little bit more smooth, but it's not like a real gimbal where everything is like smoothed out and etc. It's just the suspension mechanism inside the sensor, and it's help out just a little bit to get a nicer or especially non-blurry images. Other than these features, these cameras are very similar in terms of body, handling, features, software, etc. X-T5 has slightly better features, and the main 2 additional features that are in body image stabilization and higher megapixel sensor that is first introduced in Fujifilm X-T5. Having a 40 megapixel sensor is definitely great. You can crop your images and you can especially print your images to a really higher resolution than 26 megapixel can do, but it comes down with a price of $700 premium over Fujifilm X-T3 body. For a price of Fujifilm X-T5, you can get a Fujifilm X-T3, an additional really great lens, and it will still be lower than Fujifilm X-T5. Depending on your use case and current gear, it could be really a good alternative still in 2024. But we have one more thing to discuss, which is the user experience of using these cameras. In Fujifilm X-T series, T means traditional, meaning all the exposure-related settings like shutter speed, ISO, and aperture are located on top of the camera or the lens so that it's easier to access and easier to change when you go out and shooting. It's especially helpful if you started your photography journey recently, because when I started photography, I had my Fujifilm X-T200, which is again an X-T series, like traditional series of cameras, and it really helped me out learning the exposure triangle, what is the shutter speed, what is ISO, what is aperture, how changing them affects the image on the camera. As I mentioned, the exposure settings like ISO, shutter speed, and aperture are just on top of the camera, so it's really easy to change. Even if you are experienced, using this camera feels like using a manual car. You feel more engaged and you feel more in control of what you're doing. I kind of find it really lovely, and I loved going out and shooting with this camera. It's something felt different about how you think of doing the photography is. In my current camera, I just set to aperture prior mode and just go out and took pictures. But in that Fujifilm X-T3, I just really want to set it to manual only and just shoot manual on the go, because it's just so easy to change settings on the go and just really fun. Even though this camera feels traditional and manual, X-T3 has an eye autofocus and many other cool features that makes your life easier when you go out and shooting. One of the features I love about this camera is the slow motion shots. I cannot really get enough of these shots, and I just prepared you a clip with my fiance on a local park, and here just have a look at it. So combining all these points like price, specs, and user experience, what is my final thoughts? I think this camera can be still bought in 2024, and it's even gonna be one of the best hybrid cameras on the market around this price points. It supports all the Fujifilm X series lenses, and you can even upgrade it in the future, or you can even upgrade the camera, maybe X-T6 or X-T7 in the future, and use the same lenses. It's a really great starting point and a cheap starting point into the Fujifilm ecosystem, and it's still a really decent camera. If you are staying the range of the APS-C sensors, it's definitely a really great hybrid choice. So what's your thought about Fujifilm X-T3? Do you think it's worth in 2024? Let me know in the comments down below. If you are interested, I left the product links for Fujifilm X-T3, X-T5, and some great lenses to go with them in the description down below. So if something that's interested to you, just check them out. So if you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel, welcome abroad before you do, and consider liking this video. See you in the next one.